I became addicted to it, Ronnie. Selling drugs is an addiction. You get adrenaline. It makes you feel good. You get high off of it when you can traffic stuff and sell it, make money off of it. It's not all about the fame and the girls and the partying. It's an addiction, and only a person that has been down that path will understand what I'm saying. And by the time I was 16, 17 years old, I began to move multi-kilos of cocaine and pounds of weed, and buying cars and living lavish and hanging out and partying and all that type of stuff. And I found myself caught up on a federal indictment.
Hey, how are you doing? This is Ronnie Rivera from Rebounds podcast, where the power of the comeback is the most important thing and the story is why we're here. Hassan Hills, my friend, welcome to Rebounds podcast. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right this evening, Ronnie. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. This is, I should say this is exciting, but this is one of those cautionary tales that we talk a lot about in the Blazer Academy and other programs that we work around here in Escambia County, Pensacola, Florida. For those that you're listening, this is a podcast out of Pensacola, Florida, which we dearly love this sound. But Hassan, welcome aboard, man. I've had a chance to read your resume and your bio. You're an interesting cat. Let's just say that. You are currently working as the Chief of Staff for County Commissioner in District 1, Stephen Stroberger, here in Escambia County, Florida. You spent a lot of time in food and service through the years, and you've done a lot of those types of jobs. But let me ask you, for our listeners that do not know who Hassan Hills is, who are you?
Well, Ronnie, I'm Hassan. I'm a person that has a heart for people. I'm a person that understands the challenges that people face. I'm a person that cares about my community, my family, my friends, and those around me. And I just want to be able to live life to the fullest. Obeying the law, though.
We'll get to that a little bit later, probably. That's a pretty funny thing to start out saying by obeying the law. I think most people do that every day, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. You accomplished quite a bit as Chief of Staff over there. Where are you at right now in your life, though? Tell me a little bit about that right now.
Ronnie, I'll tell you this. I'm where I'm supposed to be. Some cards are dealt to you, some cards you go look for, and some things are meant to happen. I'm at a place of contentment. I'm at a place of purpose. I'm at a place of impact, and that's where I'm at right now.
And before you got this job, you really were working with at-risk youth here in Pensacola, Florida. And tell us a little bit about your organization real quick.
Ronnie, I started a nonprofit called Youth Left Behind. I was the founder and director. And when I looked at the city of Pensacola and the county, and I seen our young people, I wanted to do something. So I came up with Youth Left Behind, where I aid and assist young people of incarcerated parents through comprehensive mentorship, through drug treatment, through job opportunities, and gun violence awareness. And I worked there and helped that organization get to where it's at now. We'll be celebrating 5 years in 2027.
Congratulations.
And I'm now the community engagement coordinator for Youth Left Behind.
Okay. If your story had a title, what would your story be, and why would it be that?
It's funny you asked that. Yeah. It would be Life After Life.
Life After Life. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
What drives you to do the work that you do every day with not only the community and as far as your position, but helping out children that are at risk? What drives you to do that type of work?
Well, when you have certain lived life experiences and you've seen so much throughout life and time, like most people don't know, I was born in Camden, New Jersey, one of the poorest cities in New Jersey. And I've seen a lot at a young age. And then I came down to Pensacola, Florida, and it went from good to bad, and now it's headed back to good. Yeah. It's always been a great place to live, but things change with different eras.
How old were you when you got back here to Pensacola from Camden, New Jersey? How old were you?
We came down here in the early, mid-90s, well, late 80s, like 87, 88. We came down on vacation. 89, I moved down here.
Okay.
And I went to Lincoln Park Elementary School.
Okay.
And then I went back in 91, and I came back Christmas of 92 and never went back.
So that kind of brings us to the next kind of portion of this. We've all faced storms in our life. What is the one storm that shook you to your core?
Being sentenced to life in federal prison.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Ronnie, at growing up here in Escambia County in Pensacola, my mom was a single parent, and it was four of us, and we didn't have. We lived in Addis Court, 126 I in DeSoto, and we would walk down from Addis Court to 8th Street on the corner of A and Jackson. And when it came time for school, we wasn't able to get clothes and stuff that we needed, and she was on AFDC at the time, $364 a month, and ends wasn't meeting. After she paid the furniture bill, $64 a month for rent, then she had a washer that she had rented for I think $20 a month. Once, and she bought the cleaning supplies, it was nothing left over, and I got tired of not having, and I chose to start selling crack.
I think that's important. That distinction is that I chose that. Mm-hmm. That's a choice that you made. So you're on the streets. I suspect you're selling crack cocaine again. What year is this?
This was in 1993, 94.
So we've already had. I say we've already. There's been a war on drugs going on for a number of years. These minimum mandatory sentences are starting to get pretty stiff. How long are you out there selling drugs?
I sold it from 13 till I was 21.
21. And what happens?
Eventually, I started off by means just to put food on the table. I wanted to make sure that me and my siblings had school clothes, and I wanted to move my mom out the projects into a house. And I accomplished that in probably about a month. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted me a car, and I got a car. And then I wanted rims, then I got the rims. Then I wanted me a herringbone, I got the herringbone. And then I forgot all about the main reason why I did what I did, and I chose to do what I did, and I became addicted to it, Ronnie. Mm-hmm. Selling drugs is an addiction. You get adrenaline. It makes you feel good. You get high off of it when you can traffic stuff and sell it, make money off of it. It's not all about the fame and the girls and the partying. It's an addiction, and only a person that has been down that path will understand what I'm saying. And by the time I was 16, 17 years old, I began to move multi-kilos of cocaine and pounds of weed, and buying cars and living lavish and hanging out and partying and all that type of stuff. And I found myself caught up on a federal indictment.
Tell me a little bit about that. So you got yourself in a federal indictment. You're fixing to go before a judge. Mm-hmm. Had you been in trouble previously?
Yeah, I've never been to prison, but I did catch some charges as a juvenile. I had a couple cases, and when I was in my adult life, when I turned like 16, 17, I caught a couple cases, and back then they would adjudicate you as an adult. And by the time I was 20, I was indicted from the feds, and with that indictment, based upon my background, if I went to trial, I was looking at life. It was a minimum mandatory. Up under 851B1A, 2 prior convictions with 50 grams or more crack. If you lose and go to trial, you get life. And I never thought in 1,000 years that a judge or a jury or the court system would sentence a 20-year-old person to life in prison for a nonviolent drug offense, because I was ignorant to the law. I didn't know the law. The law stated what it stated, and if you fall up under that statute, then they have to uphold the Constitution of the law.
Wow, that's a lot. So you're 20 years old, you're standing in a courtroom, and you're facing life in federal prison. Take me to that moment. What does that feel like?
It don't hit you right then and there. When you go and you get sentenced for length of time, they throw out months. So you say, give you 240 months or 80 months or 150 months. And most people that sit up there, they be trying to calculate how many months that is in their head. And then once they get back to that cell, they're, oh man, this gave me 15 years. But they sentenced me to life without the possibility of parole.
So that's what they said to you. They didn't give you a number count. They said
No.
you're going to.
They sentenced me to an imprisonment of life in federal prison without the possibility of parole, which means that I would have to die in prison in 24 hours after my death. Then my body would be released to my family.
That's staggering.
Yeah.
So you're standing there. You're not so sure. You don't think this is going to happen to you. It does, in fact, happen to you.
Yes.
It doesn't wash over you. It hasn't dawned on you. You're 20 years old.
Yeah.
When somebody says you're going to prison for life, I think a lot of 20-year-olds do not know what life is. Like you said, that your body is there.
Yes.
24 hours post-mortem.
It's
What
not easy.
Yeah, man. I can tell that's definitely the truth. What emotions or thoughts are the strongest for you during this time? And I'm not talking about in the courtroom, but there's got to be a time where, at least 2 months, 3 months, 10 months, 10 years, where something's going on in you and you're like, man, how did this happen to me? Take me to that season in your life. Take me to that season in your life.
Well, at first you think it's a dream. You wake up in that cell. Actually, you're waiting to be sent off to prison. You know, you got to go back to the county jail. But you're waking up every day like, darn, man, is this a dream? Lord, just please wake me up out of this dream. And then you replay everything inside your mind, your shoulda, your couldas, your wouldas, what you would have done, what you could have done different. But you learn to deal with it and conform to your environment. And that's just the way it is. If you're in a jail cell in the county jail, you know you're going home soon. You conform to it. If you go to state prison and they give you less than 5 years, you know you have a date. If they sentence you to federal prison without the possibility of parole, that's considered your home, and you conform to the environment that you're in.
What is your family feeling like? What's your friends feeling like? It seems like this may have hit them before it hit you.
Yeah, I tried to be strong for my mom during that time, and my grandmother was in the courtroom, and I didn't cry at that time. But what I did was I wanted to be strong, and I kept telling my mom and my grandmother that everything would be all right. And it's funny that you bring up friends. At a young age, we think that we have a lot of friends, and we think that everybody has our best intentions, but you don't really know who your friends are till you go through something. I have one friend, my best friend.
Who's that?
His name is Carlton Washington. That's my friend. That's my brother. We brothers. And the reason why I can call him my brother because he was with me through the good, bad, and the ugly. Graduated Catholic high school, good kid, got a few children now, got a great job. And during my lowest point in my life, he didn't forget about me.
Yeah.
He visited me. He answered my phone calls. When he had his first kid, he sent me pictures. And that meant a lot. What stands out the most is that my mom got sick while I was going away, and my friend would go by and check on my mom 2-3 times a week, and every Sunday go see her. On Easter, he would take her a flower on my behalf. That's my brother.
Yeah.
And we're still friends to this day. We talk every day.
Saw you through the whole prison sentence and all
Yes.
that. Let's kind of unpack this a little bit. So you're there in prison, and so where did you go first once you left Pensacola? What prison did you go to?
Well, you have to go through the Atlanta holdover to get processed, and sometimes they ship you to Oklahoma, then they fly you out, or they'll bus you halfway, and then fly you out. But I started off at Coleman Penitentiary, a level 7 penitentiary, down in Coleman, Florida, right outside of Ocala.
It's pretty serious.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So you get there after you go through processing in Atlanta, and for those of you that are not aware of what prison processing is, tell us a little bit about that if you don't mind. In Atlanta.
It's where you go through and you get your DC number and they take your picture and
Department of Corrections.
Yes, you get a FBOP.
Okay.
Yeah, Federal Bureau of Prisons.
Yeah.
And you'll get your number, you get your ID, you'll get your they'll classify you medium, high, whatever, and they let you know where you're going.
Okay.
See, when you get to Atlanta, you know where you're designated to. and I was designated to Coleman, Florida.
Just like an orientation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-orientation.
Okay. And it's at least for the system, not for what's happening on the ground there once you get to prison. So you get a number, and that's what you become.
Yes.
And so there has to be some sort of point where you're like, hey, I'm just going to be a number for the rest of my life, unfortunately. Is that true?
Well,
did you have any hope?
Ronnie, I'm going to be real with you.
Yeah.
And my family and friends and people that I talk to will tell you this. I didn't believe that God brought me on this earth to spend the rest of my life in prison.
Okay.
How, when, where, how, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I just knew that Hassan wasn't destined to be there for the rest of his life.
So obviously you're praying, and
most definitely.
Yeah. And if you were not praying prior to going to prison, then certainly converted yourself at this point, and you're very in tune with your spirituality with God, at least to some degree, it seems like.
Yes.
I hate to ask this question now because it seems so soon. There's so many other questions to ask, but looking back, what lessons were the toughest at least during this period? What was the toughest lessons during this period?
My grandmother told me something that I'll never forget. Mm-hmm. The day that I got sentenced, she came to visit me at the old county jail, and she said, "Sonny, I'm going to tell you something." She called me Sonny. Mm-hmm. She said, "You finna go down that road," and she said, "It's just going to be you." She said, "You do whatever you have to do to make it up out of there." Mm-hmm. She said, "You get yourself prepared for disappointment and let down." She said, "As the days, the weeks, and the years roll by, people are going to fall off and forget about you."
Yeah.
She said, "That goes for me. That goes for your mom, your dad, your brothers, everybody who you think is going to be there through thick and thin." She says, "It's going to come a point in time to where you feel abandoned." But that's not the truth. That's just the way life is. And I took that to heart. From that day, I went to prison with the mindset that if nobody wrote me, if nobody sent me no money, that Hassan was going to have whatever he needed while he was there.
You've become a number. I mean, that's really what you are. You're a number in a very large industrial complex of prisons. Mm-hmm. And the Hassan that left here is certainly not the Hassan that winds up there, and certainly not the Hassan that comes back from there. And we'll get to that in a little bit, kind of that progress, that shift, because it is very rare that anybody gets an opportunity to sit down with somebody that's been sentenced to life in federal prison and have an opportunity to chat with them. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, what is your day-to-day life like in prison? Let's talk about that for a second. What does your day-to-day life look like when you're there? We're 2 years into your prison sentence. What does that day look like when you get up in the morning? I guess you're getting up in the morning. Tell me.
Oh, yeah, you got to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, by Coleman Penitentiary being a brand new penitentiary, it had a lot of amenities there. So they fed good at first, eat as much as you want. So they would pop the doors around about 5:45, 6 o'clock. You would come out your room around about 6:15, 6:30. They would call breakfast. You would go in, you would go to breakfast, eat as much as you want. You was able to take one piece of fruit out per meal. Then you would go back to your dorm. Around about 7:15, 7:20, they'll do facilities and Unicorp work call. And then those people that worked in facilities or Unicorp would go to work. At 7:30, they would do general work call. And general work call is people that worked on the yard or other places like that, down in the reg. And then they would have a move every hour on the hour. They would say, attention on the compound, attention to quarters, 10-minute move, 10-minute move. And you would be able to move throughout the prison for 10 years, whether you want to go, for 10 minutes, whether you want to go to the law library, if you want to go to reg, if you need to go to sick call or anything of that nature, you can move at that time. But you will have a job. You will make up your bed and have your room clean. And you don't sleep during the day in the penitentiary. You won't find yourself inside of a room sleep in the penitentiary when those doors open. When they open, you're up, suited, booted, ready to go.
What was your job?
I always worked in the food service industry.
Okay. So from day one, you started.
I started
because that's in your resume suggests that before you left, you had a small restaurant here, mm-hmm. and did those things. So you you found yourself right at home in the kitchen, unfortunately, there in the prison system.
Yeah.
And so that's what you did the entire time you were incarcerated?
No, I had various jobs. I got fired out the kitchen there, but they would always hire me back.
Right.
Because in prison you work in food service, people have to eat. That's the hustle.
Yeah.
Be able to take care of yourself while you're there. They want a bell pepper and an onion. They want an extra piece of fried chicken or something like that.
Right.
But I worked in Unicor briefly, where I was a QA, quality assurance inspector.
Okay.
And they built chairs. And once the chairs came down the assembly line, I would inspect them and have them put in the box and shipped out through the distribution company. And then I worked in facilities for like 2 weeks. I didn't like that, but I always found myself back at the kitchen. And during the holidays, like Thanksgiving and Christmas and the 4th of July, they would get me to cook the meals for the whole prison.
Wow.
So
was it hard for you during those holidays and your birthdays? You weren't home. Were those things challenging? I've heard and read that can be a challenge for individuals.
It's hard every day being away from your family and your loved ones, but it's even harder during the holidays. Not so much as your birthday, but those holidays that mean something. Like in my family, it's a tradition that we have Easter dinner at somebody's house every year, Thanksgiving dinner. And Christmas is my favorite holiday, so I always got a little bit down during that time.
Sure. Well, let's kind of look. Let's fast forward here and kind of look at what kind of shifted and made this spark for you. There's something that obviously transpired or was transpiring over a course of days, years, weeks, months, whatever the case is. But what started that kind of shift from the struggle to what would eventually be the progress in the rebound story? What started sparking that for you?
Well, Ronnie, I'm gonna be real with you. At the end of the day, I went to prison at a young age. I dropped out of school in 11th grade. I wasn't say I was very smart, but I wasn't average. I was above average. I made good grades. I began to educate myself, and I began to start going to the law library.
Why?
And because I wanted to get out of prison.
So there was a belief in you.
Yes.
That you thought certainly, even though they're going to take my body 24 hours after I'm post-mortem here, but there was something in you, there was some drive in you, and you said, hey, I'm going to go to the law library and read. Maybe there's something there for you. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Faith without works is dead. I can't depend on an attorney to do all the work. Nobody know your case better than you. I know my case better than anybody. And once your mind is focused, I had all the time in the world to think and get into the law library and look at the law and research the law and try to find that one thing to help me get out. And I went to school and I got my GED while I was there. I educated myself.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I went down to education and I got in school and I began to read a lot. I educated myself for 20 years in prison.
So is that how long you were gone under this prison sentence? Were you gone for 20 years?
Yes.
Okay.
I was gone for 20 years.
20 years. So tell me a little bit about, was there a conversation? Was there some moment of clarity where you think, hey, man, this may really happen. I may really get out of prison. I mean, I've spent all these years in prison and in a law library on top of it, cooking. And there may be something, there has to be some moment of clarity or conversation with somebody or maybe multiple people that helped you out through this process. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, throughout the prison system, you're always going to have older people that's been down. You call them OGs or big homies. And some of them have been down 15, 20, 30, 40 years. And when they find young people that's coming in, they would always gravitate towards them, be like, hey, get in that law library, educate yourself. In the event that you get out, you won't be lost when you get back out on the streets. And one of the things that motivated me is that I told myself that if I ever got out, that I would come back and I would impact my community. But I didn't know that I would be doing it in this way. I just said I would give back to the community.
At what point is this in your sentence? Are you at year 10 that you're thinking, or is it year 5 or year 20 where you're thinking, man, if I ever get out of here, I'll make sure that no child is left behind?
No, it took more than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It took about 10, 12 years because the first 2 to 5 years, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was wilding out. I was getting into trouble. I was going to the hole. I was fighting. I lived the prison life in prison, and you conform to that. You know, you have riots there.
Yeah.
Or you have lockdowns where you lock down 23 in one. Well, actually, 24 hours a day, and you come out every 3 days for a shower.
Yeah.
So when that happens, that messes with you mentally. Being locked down, and the most important thing is that you have to show respect while you're there. A disrespectful person in prison will get killed for the littlest thing, whether it be skipping somebody in line, whether it be looking in somebody's cell, whether it be reaching over somebody's food. Those things right there mean something to people. It could really get you killed, and it has happened.
How did you? And this is it's something I'm very interested in. Then how did you acclimate yourself back? And I know I'm skipping a little bit, but how did you acclimate yourself back to a world where people often, it's a hustle and bustle out here, right? People often bump you. People step on your shoes all the time. Not yours personally, but people step on people's shoes unknowingly that they've stepped on a guy's shoes that spent 20 years in prison. How did you acclimate yourself back to the outside world?
Well, when I first came home, it didn't dawn on me that I was free.
Yeah.
I was free, but I wasn't free. And it clicked after I had been home about 7 to 10 days. I was living in an apartment on the west side of Pensacola, 2-bedroom apartment, me and my wife. And I got up and I had 2 pillows on my bed. I'm like, wow. So I get up and I went to the refrigerator and I opened it up. And I had orange juice in there, apple juice, grapefruit juice. My wife had a Pepsi in there. It was bottled water in there. It was a couple grapes. I grabbed 3 or 4 grapes. I grabbed me something to drink. And I was able to open the door and step outside on the porch. And when I stood outside on the porch, it was like, it wasn't cold, but a cool breeze had came. And I'm standing on the porch and I'm looking, and it dawned on me, you're free.
Yeah.
I'm free. And a tear began to roll down my eye, not a tear of sorrow or nothing like that, but a tear of relief and joy. And from that moment, it clicked that I was free, because just 2 weeks ago, I wasn't able to just open up a cell door. I wasn't able to go into a refrigerator and pick from apple juice to orange juice, or a grape or a pear. I wasn't able to have 2, 3, 4 pillows. Some of us had them in there, but they would come take them. And from that moment on, something sparked and changed in me, and I gravitated towards being a free man.
Tell me a little bit about then how you went about a release from prison. How did this, because you've got life in prison. How did you go about getting out? How did this happen? How did this transpire?
Well, Ronnie, I was transferred from Atwater, California, which is another level 7 penitentiary, and they sent me to Yazoo City, Mississippi. And during that time, they had the clemencies that was going on with the President Barack Obama office. And I was like, hey, well, maybe I may be a candidate for clemency. And it was a law office by the name of Kirkland and Ellis out of New York. And they took my clemency packet and they did it pro bono for me, free of charge. And they applied for executive clemency through the Obama administration. And during that time, throughout the prison system, all throughout the federal prison system, it was people getting denied. Every day they was getting those denial letters. They would call you up to the lieutenant's office or to R&D, and people was getting those denials. And I'll never forget it. Some people was getting it, but most people was getting denied. And if everybody recall, before Barack Obama left office, it came across CNN. It says, President Barack Obama commutes the sentence of 200 and something federal prisoners hours before leaving office.
Yes.
I'm one of those people.
Wow, that's amazing. Were all of the people, all of those 200 represented by the same law firm, or was it just, okay.
No, they just from all, you got some people did it pro bono, some people had attorneys. It's just.
So you've got this, so what does this mean then?
Well, I
I
really
mean,
don't
because
know.
you didn't get out that day, did you?
No.
Okay. What does this mean for you then?
That means that they commuted my sentence from life to 30 years, and they gave me credit for time served for 16 years and 9 months. So I get a call. I was at work in the kitchen frying chicken, and they tell me that I have a legal phone call. I'm like, I done got nothing in court. What are they calling me for?
Right.
So I get down to my unit manager's office. He said, you got an attorney call, and it's from the partner's attorney's office in Washington. And they tell me that, they tell me the news. And I'm like, all right, thank you. He was like, there anybody you wish for me to call right now? We're not up on the gag order anymore, because they couldn't release that information until they contacted me first. And I wasn't really worried about the 30 years because I had 16 years and 9 months in, which means I would have had to do 7 more years before I came home.
That's a long time still to sit in a federal prison. I guess you have some faith at this point, though, because at least they're not going to take you post-mortem at this point.
Yes, I'm not going to die in prison.
You're not going to die. Or
Yeah.
your hope is that you're not dying in prison. You got
Yes.
7 years left. So I guess there's some sort of faith or mindset. Something starts changing in you for sure. If it hadn't changed at this point, certainly, you're like, man, I can see the front door on this, right?
I had a date.
Mm-hmm.
I had a date. I knew that on this day that I would be going home. I could take the drug program and receive a year off. You know, then I can get up to a year halfway house and get out. So I begin to take things a lot more serious then, and I begin to start planning for my return.
But you had already kind of made the shift to thinking, if I ever get out,
Yes.
if I ever get a chance. So you'd already made that shift.
Yes.
But now you've got a date
Now I got a date
and a plan.
and a plan.
I hate to ask, man, but tell me about your plan.
You see it, what I'm doing now. That's my plan. I didn't want to do it on this scale, working with young people, and just wanted to just impact just a few young people at a time. And my plans was, when I came home, I was going to get me a mobile food truck park. What I wanted to do is I wanted to get about an acre of land, and I wanted to put different food trucks on there. I was going to own 2 of them, and I wanted to lease the rest of the spaces out, but everything had to be different. And I wanted to have something like Sweet Treat Lane, and all they sold was sweet treats. Soul Food Valley, nothing but soul food, and Italian food, and Mexican. I wanted a mobile food truck park with a diverse of food. And I began to plan for that my first year and a half after coming home, but something shifted to where I wanted to get into the nonprofit sector.
There has to be a point where you're sitting there in prison. At some point, you have to figure out, I'm not the same person I am or I was when I came in.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that transition in you, mentally at least, or in your heart, where you think, I don't know, man, I'm not the same guy that I was.
You know, at times when you're bouncing back from something to something else, your mindset begins to change, your attitude, your action, your reaction. And you have to think, I went in when I was 20, I was a kid. I began to develop into a man. So the way that I would approach certain situations, I didn't do when I was 25. I didn't do when I was 30. I didn't do when I was 35. So the way that I would react to something at 35 is totally different than the way I would react to something when I was 21. So at that time, I began to just think before I acted. You know, everything that I did, I would think about the consequences behind it. I got a date now. Do I want to lose any game time? Is it harmful? Is it helpful? Is it worth it?
Was there something else that helped propel you out of prison, or was it just President Obama, or was there other things that had to happen along the way for you to get released from prison?
Well, you know, I still had 7 years, and those 7 years are not up until 2027. And here I am in 2025, and I've been here since 2021.
Tell me
So
about it.
something else happened. I will say this first. It took an act of God and 2 presidents for me to be sitting here.
Amen.
All right. So I got sent back to a low facility because they lowered my custody level. And I'm at a low in Yazoo, Mississippi. And during that time, they had the crack -2. And they was changing the ratio from 100 to 1, and they made it 18 to 1. And what that means is that the quality amount dealing with the time that you would get for having powder versus crack would change. And the main thing that people was wanting to happen is they wanted Donald Trump to make sure that he signed into law that it would be retroactive. And Donald Trump signed those papers and made it retroactive his first term. And the day that he signed those papers, I get a call from the judge stating that my sentence had been commuted.
Personally?
Not personally, but
His office.
they have their way of
Sure.
calling down. Actually, it's an attorney here in Escambia County that works for the federal probation and parole place. His name is Randall Lockhart, and that's my mentor, and that's who filed my stuff for me to get out. And they granted the motion, and I got time served. So at prison at work, my name come over the PA system. They tell me to come to R&D. I get there, they ask me, where's my stuff? I said, what are you talking about? They said, you got to be off the compound by 4 o'clock. Your time is up. I said, man, stop playing. And I said, call the captain. He's the head of security. The captain came down. He said, yeah, Hills, you immediate release. I went back to that dorm. I went and got my gray bag. I got my pictures. I got my legal work, a toothbrush, some deodorant, toothpaste. I put it over my shoulder, and I walked out of that prison. I didn't tell nobody. I walked out of that prison, and I didn't look back. People were calling my name like, Haas, where you going? I never look back. I walked across that compound. I never looked back. It was a place that I never wanted to ever have to go through no more.
Were you crying?
Of course. Of course.
Thanking God, I'm sure, during the whole
Oh,
process.
most definitely. Most
And the
definitely.
president.
Yes.
Both.
Yeah.
That's a wild story. So you just walk out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
You woke up that morning,
In prison.
did not know you were getting out,
No.
much like the same day that you went to court and did not know that you were going to go to prison for life that same day.
Yes.
Wow, what two big emotions to feel. So you're released from prison and you're out, and now what? You've planned for this, obviously, but it's come to fruition and you're really out here on the streets. And now, was there a time that you thought, oh man, I'd go get some dope and go get back on and sell some dope? And was there a part of you that ever said that?
Well, I'm not gonna say it was a part of me that ever said that, but at the end of the day, I had to deal with some stuff that clouded my vision and my mental. 9 months before I was released from prison, my mom passed away, and I came home to a lot. I had to deal with that, and I didn't want to fall into a stage of depression. I had the support of my wife and my daughter, and it was hard. That was a time in my life to where I wanted to get home. One of the main reasons why I wanted to get home, because I wanted to come home and show my mom that I've learned my lesson, and I wanted her to see me doing something positive and life-changing, and I didn't get that opportunity. But to answer your question, it wasn't easy.
Yeah. So you're here, you're on the streets, you're trying to figure out what your next move is. You've been incarcerated now 20 years. That is a long time for any person to be gone and then expect to acclimate in a pretty quick manner. But you do have a very rapid turnaround. So you did come with a plan, and I think most of the community here is aware of that at this point. It's very clear that you came with a plan, because I ran into you. I work at an agency where law enforcement officials work, and there you come walking in the door one day to talk with the sheriff, which was very pivotal in incarcerating you to begin with. And your first thing is you want to help out kids not experience what you've had to experience.
Yes.
Why was that?
Because I had a live life experience, and I didn't want child to have to go through what my child went through. When when you're incarcerated, you're around a bunch of individuals. It's 17, 18, 19, 2,200 people on a compound. And one of the things that you hear the men in there say is, my son or my daughter, my kids, darn man, I miss my kids. Send me some pictures, bring my kids to see me. And when you're incarcerated, it not only affects you. Can you imagine what it's like for a 9-year-old kid to not be with his father from 9 till he turned 21? So I wanted to come back to the community, and I wanted to help those young people not fall into the pattern of their parents, break the cycle, the generational curse. And I thought, what better way to do it than to reach out to the sheriff, who at the time that I left, he was working at the Pensacola Police Department with a narcotics agent.
Yeah.
So I read an article in the newspaper, and I hear that he done made sheriff. I'm like, I'm going to call him.
Tell me about that. I've actually never asked you about this, and we've actually never talked about this. So you come home and you see that this guy is the sheriff.
Yes.
And he is part of the reason why you spent 20 years in prison, and you think, what better person can help me close that gap in my life?
Well, Sheriff Chip Simmons gave me my first indictment for selling crack. I still have that arrest warrant right now to this day. And one thing that I can say about the sheriff is, when I had a job to do, he had a job to do, but he was always respectful, and he was fair. When he got you fair and square. I will say that, and anybody that knows the sheriff knows that about him. When he got you, he got you. So I'm at home, and I get the Pensacola News Journal, and I read it, and it says Chip Simmons, sheriff of Escambia County. I'm like, darn man, Chip done made sheriff? Darn, he done came up. So I had the vision to start Youth Left Behind, and I said, I'm going to call and see if he'll meet with me. So I called down to the sheriff's office, and Miss Pat answered the phone, and I said, hi, my name is Hassan Hills, and I would like to set up a meeting with Sheriff Chip Simmons. And she was like, all right, hold on. Then I guess she went and told the sheriff, hey, I got this guy on the phone by the name Hassan Hills, said he wanted to meet with you. And I guess my name immediately, Hassan, no, he's in prison, he's gone. But the sheriff, he said, yeah, bring him down. I'll meet with him. So I come in there, and that's when I get to meet you and Hobbs, and I see the sheriff. He's like, well, first of all, how did you get out? What, congratulations, and what brings you here? Yeah. And I told him, I said, Sheriff, I've done a lot of wrong in this community, and I want to pay it forward. I want to start a mentorship program, and I want to help young people of incarcerated parents or youth that may be facing difficulties. And he looked from behind that desk, and he said, Hassan Hills, I believe in you. I don't know about nobody else, but coming from my background and the stuff that I've been through, when you have somebody in law enforcement that can look you in your eye sincerely and say, Hassan Hills, I believe in you, that was motivation. That was confirmation. That was what I needed to let me know that I was on the right path. And it meant a lot to me. Yeah. It meant a lot.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He is a great guy. Certainly a mentor of mine. So.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about if you could speak to your younger self during this hardest season, what would you say to yourself? And I don't know what the hardest season is. I mean, it's hard being a nonprofit professional here in Pensacola, and it's hard being a chief of staff, but I'm certain it's harder to be incarcerated with a life sentence.
If I can speak to my younger self,
yes,
what would I say?
Absolutely.
Back then or right now?
If you are sitting there and you are looking at Hassan Hills the day that you're sentenced, what do you say to him?
What do I say to him? I would tell Hassan Hills to, 1, keep his faith. For 2, learn from his past mistakes. And for 3, your past will never control your destiny.
If you have a definition of success, how has it evolved through the years?
Oh my God. Ronnie, good success lasts a lifetime. Bad success is like a miss. And bad success was that drug money. It lasted for a period of time, and then it's gone. Everything that I have now, I worked hard for it. Nobody gave me nothing. I worked 3 jobs when I first came home.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to get back out there in the streets because I'm only human.
Yeah.
And you know, most dudes that come home from prison,
Mm-hmm.
if they go back to the same environment, they're going to conform to that environment because I'm not going to be bringing home $400 every week and you're out here making $2,000 every hour. It's a matter of time before I say, give me some of that. So I surrounded myself around positive people. I didn't go back to the hood where I grew up at. They knew I was out. I would see them in passing. I didn't visit certain places. I don't go to certain clubs. Actually, I haven't been to the club since I've been home. Nan Club in Pensacola. I just don't. I have no desire for that. It almost ruined my life. So I'm trying to live in a way that I can be an inspiration to the young people and some adults and returning citizens that I try to help uplift and put on the right path. And what better way to do it than to lead by example? I can't mentor young men in this time and not live up to what I say I need for them to do. They're dependent on me. Accountability.
What habits or rituals keep you grounded every single day now that you're home and now that you're certainly successful? What are those rituals that you are? What things do you do every single day that keeps you where you need to be?
My faith. I grew up in the church. Always prayed, no matter what I was doing. I pray constantly right now in the day, Ronnie. I be in my car sometime praying, like literally. I treat people how I want to be treated, and I always put myself in the other person's shoes in every situation. If I was right here doing this, how would I feel if somebody talked to me like that? What would I want somebody to do for me if I was in that situation? But the great thing about it is I bring some expertise to the table that's different from others, from both sides of the fence,
Yeah.
from this side to this side. So when you take negative and you bring it over here and you do positive, I'm destined for success because I take all that negative energy that I put into my life in the past and I turn it into a positive and I push it to the limit. The same way that I would get out there on the streets and break the law, I take that same energy to impact our community.
Good job. What is the one piece of advice that you've received over the years that has been the best piece of advice for you?
Wow. Recent years, one piece of advice. I received so much advice, Ronnie. I don't really have a favorite, but if I had to choose something to stick that really stuck with me, it would be I was talking to a gentleman who knew me from my past, older now, and one thing that he told me is he said, the streets don't owe you nothing. He said, you owe nobody nothing. He said, what you need to do right now, Hassan, is worry about you and your family. Because if I take care of myself and I take care of my family, it'll be more of me for others. But if I can't take care of myself and I can't take care of my family, then I can't be there for others. I can't tell other people how to get past or get through what they're going through if I can't hold down my own.
What is the one thing that people get wrong about bouncing back?
That they can't do it. You can bounce back from anything. I don't care what it is, whether it be drugs, whether it be robbery, whether it be stealing, whether it be mental health, I don't care, incarceration. And some of us, it take us 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times to bump our head.
Yeah.
And I get it. But when you make up in your mind that enough is enough and you really, really want to change for the better, you can do it. And the problem that people face is that their support system around them, they think that because they telling them, you need to stop doing this, you need to go get your job, that only makes the persons that's struggling with they're struggling with be rebellious. The best thing you can do is sit down with them and ask them, what can I do to help you get to where you need to be? So that way it's more of them dictating what they want to do. You just helping them get there.
Yeah. Similar type of question. If somebody is at home right now, or somebody is in their car, or somebody is in prison right now, and they feel stuck in their own story, what is the one thing you would tell them right now to help them bounce back from that story?
Don't allow past mistakes or what your current state is determine what you can be. You may be in a rut right now. You may be struggling. You may be in the pit. But you can get from that valley, that pit, to the mountaintop if you just hold on, keep the faith, and push forward. You got to move forward, never go backwards. And even if you stumble during the way, even if you have a minor setback, don't wallow in it. Get up, figure out where you went wrong, and begin to push forward more. As long as you stay walking and stay moving forward, you'll get to where you need to be.
I will tell you that this has been a delight for me. Unfortunately, your story has been one of the better stories that I've heard, and I've heard lots of stories through the years, and that's why I do this podcast, is to make sure individuals know that everybody has a similar story. Not everybody goes to prison for 20 years.
I know.
But some people do, and some people do get out, and they try to figure out their next move in life. And so as we kind of wrap this up, I always ask this one last question. What is your personal definition of a comeback?
My personal definition of a comeback. A comeback is when the towel has been thrown in, you have been knocked down, you have been talked about, you have been persecuted, you have been abandoned, you have been thrown away. And through it all, you find a way to get to where you need to be. My comeback may not be your comeback, but as long as I can look back and see that I'm not where I was 20 years ago, I've came back. Your expectation for success may not be my expectation for success, but as long as I'm not living the way that I was living 20 years ago, I've came back. And we have to get that in our mind, that that is the ultimate comeback. And my ultimate comeback, Ronnie, is my faith, my family, and my finances.
Yeah, man.
Those are my core values.
That's not bad. Well, Hassan, we're going to wrap this up, and I do want to thank you for coming out this evening and talking with us a little bit more about your story. It's very impactful for individuals. For those of you that do not know, you will see Hassan Hills around at least Pensacola, Florida, and he will be doing things in county government here. So if you need to reach out to him, we'll be able to provide his number in the show notes, those kind of things. But more importantly than all of that, he is going to be continually mentoring youth to make sure that individuals do not fall in the same footsteps that he fell in. And you have served an awful lot of children since you've been home, and an awful lot of families. And do you know how many kids that you've served just by chance?
Well, Ronnie, I'm capturing up some data right now. Right now, since 2022 up until the date, we have serviced over 500 children in Escambia County, with 175 coming through our program. But we offer services to anybody that's in need. So that means that we've touched over 500 children, young people throughout Escambia County.
Thank you for your time tonight, Hassan. Have a great evening.
You as well. Thank you for having me, Ronnie. It was a pleasure and the honor.
Thanks for listening to Rebounds Podcast with Ronnie Rivera. If you have an opportunity, please review our show notes and support our sponsors, Blush and Needle Society, Meredith Bush Law Firm, Randall's Formal Wear, Youths Left Behind. Also, please support us on our social media platforms, Instagram and YouTube. We'll see you next time on Rebounds Podcast.